Hello all, welcome to yet another enriching session on food microbiology. In the last video lecture, we discussed impact of redox potential on microbial growth using wine as an example. So in today's video lecture, we'll be discussing impact of composition on microbial growth. So let's get started. Just like humans require nutrition for their growth, microorganisms also require nutrition for their growth. Now, when we consider food, we know that it contains enough nutrients for supporting growth of any type of microbial growth. It supports growth of wide range of microorganisms. This is precisely why we also consume food, because we know that we can get all essential nutrients from food, even those nutrients that our bodies cannot synthesize. So, at a given point in time, what type of microorganisms dominate your system depends on what type of nutrients are available in your food and how much is available for supporting microbial growth. There are some organisms that grow rapidly, easily by consuming just a very basic amount of nutrients. And then you also have certain other organisms that have complex nutritional demand. Such organisms are called fastidious organisms. When we talk about fastidious organisms with respect to food industry, one name that is common is Campylobacter jejuni. And this organism is responsible for causing food poisoning. Another name that is common, which probably you guys may not know as a fastidious organism, is lactic acid bacteria. So, in what form is energy present in foods? The most common form of energy, as we all know, is carbohydrates. Then you also have protein. Certain microorganisms can also use lipids because they have lipase. They are able to produce lipase to break down triacylglycerol molecules. Vitamins are also readily available in food for microbial growth. Then you have certain sources of nitrogen like your peptides, amino acids, because microorganisms they do require nitrogen for forming protein, for protein synthesis via translation. Finally, you have minerals, and these minerals are usually present in salt form because it allows rapid solubility and quick absorption. So, from all these things, it becomes very clear that food is a very attractive medium for microbial growth. Having spoken so much about it, I want to highlight a important fact here that it is not impossible to inhibit or prevent microbial growth. It is still possible to inhibit or inactivate microbial cells in foods. And how can it be done? It can be done by modifying the composition of your food. You want to modify composition without altering the sensory quality of your food. So the first under that category would be acid. So when you add certain acids like vinegar or citric acid, what they do is they are able to lower the pH. And when they lower the pH, it does not facilitate microbial growth. Why? Because microorganisms can grow only within a specified pH range. Above and below that pH, it cannot grow. Second is your packaging. We can modify the composition of gases used for packaging, okay, so that there is no outgrowth of microorganisms during storage period. We can make use of two methodologies: controlled atmospheric packaging, then you also have modified atmospheric packaging. In both the methods, you try to control the amount of oxygen present within the package. You try to eliminate oxygen as much as possible. And in modified atmospheric packaging, you also introduce carbon dioxide because it has an inhibitory effect on microorganisms. And finally, you have certain compounds like salt and sugar, which have been used for preservation from time immemorial. They are able to reduce the amount of water content readily available for supporting microbial growth, thereby extending the shelf life of your food product. Thank you for staying with me through the video. In case you have any queries, please feel free to put them in the comment section and I'll get back at the earliest.